The second biggest fraud of all time after organized religion, the insurance policy that only dead people can collect on. The second biggest fraud of all time is the American defense budget post World War II, and especially under Republican Congresses and presidents, and post Trump. I mean, 750 some odd billion dollars, not including the wars. The wars are billed separately, so the true defense budget is really over $1 trillion every year when you include the military aid, the intelligence budgets, the war budgets, the supplemental war budgets that Bush used to keep the defense budget number down as he had hundreds of billions of expenditure every year for the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, the countless little dirty wars that we're fighting on behalf of God knows what interests and what other countries. Um, it is an absolute fraud. If we were actually getting value for this money, any value, the most of the weapons, I would say 70% of the defense budget, let's say 60 to 70% of the defense budget is absolute worthless pork and white collar fraud spending for obsolete ancient weaponry that nobody uses in warfare anymore. No other country builds thousands and thousands of new tanks all the time because some Republican donor in a red state where there's a red state factory thinks we should build tanks indefinitely. Tanks are completely obsolete. First, you can't actually move them around inside most cities. Secondly, if you did, anybody with a shoulder-fired rocket from a mile away can turn a tank into a flaming tin can, so they don't really use them that often. You don't have mass tank battles. We are not fighting a replay of this, the Panzers and the Russians fighting on the steppes of Eurasia in mass tank battles. It just hasn't happened, doesn't happen. With air power, with shoulder-fired rocketry, tanks have become an obsolete death trap in mass scale. Aircraft carriers, don't need them. And on top of that, the first major power we do fight is going to use a truck-borne missile, a drone, a sub, a jet, standoff weaponry, precision weaponry to turn the slow-floating giant tin can into a flaming tin can from 1,000 miles away. Aircraft carriers serve no purpose other than sometimes in disaster relief because they have water filtration systems in hospitals. They send them in to do humanitarian work, but they're not hospital ships. They serve no war purpose with mid-air fueling, drones, smart bombs. No first world power even builds them other than stupid America. Why? Why do we have a fleet of $25 billion death traps that serve no purpose and keep us from taking care of the other needs of the American people and the world? It was estimated prior to the Iraq War, in that time frame, that somewhere around $200 billion over the next 10 years, so a $2 trillion investment over the next 10 years, would establish universal, affordable, quality health care for every American. Something that every other country, first or second rate, gives its people. And something Americans have to pay triple and quadruple and double the price for everything and still not be guaranteed of any coverage. We have the worst healthcare system in the world, but a fleet of 25 billion a pop worthless aircraft carriers. Maybe we should have, instead of healthcare and vaccines and science research and how to battle climate and green new fuels, instead, maybe we should just have a giant army of armored knights as well in case our enemy decides to fight us with armored combat. It is absolutely insane, the wasted money in the Defense Department. It is the one place where there's more corruption and waste in the American government expenditures than anywhere else. 60 to 70%. We have bases in 220 countries. We have bases in 130 of them, but our people have no health care. Unless you're old or retired or a poor child, you have no guarantee from the government that they give a one single crap about your life. And it's comical that at the time of the Iraq invasion, the Republic Klan told everyone that the war would cost $6 billion and be over in 6 months. The war went on for nearly 20 years, 15 years. It cost 4 or 5 trillion, slaughtered a generation of Iraqis, 4 to 5 trillion. And they said healthcare for everybody would cost 200 billion a year for 10 years, and that was socialism. But 4 trillion in 15 years for killing and besmirching the name of America all over the globe and the credibility of America all over the globe, hunting imaginary WMDs. With the 4 to 5 trillion we spent in Iraq, we could have saved millions of lives in America and in the world with disease research. These same Republic Klan con men fight tooth and nail the funding for the CDC, the National Institutes of Health, the National Institutes of Science, the World Health Organization, the people that protect us against pandemics, diseases, cancer, all of these things. They cut the budget and call that liberal pork. But spending tens of trillions on useless weapons. Get it through your stupid cock-waving American, I need a gun because my prick doesn't work in his small mind. Useless weapons. What did all of those aircraft carriers and missile defense do for us in 9/11? What did it do when Putin was attacking our election? Nothing. What does it do? When do we ever use them? Never. We have stupid missile defense that only works after trillions since the time of Reagan and Bush 2 and now Trump and his stupid Space Force. We've spent trillions. And the army itself, even though this is very heavily disputed, states that their system only works if the enemy attacks America in the stupidest possible way possible. Meaning that some country or rogue whatever power launches a few missiles, few ancient traditional ICBM type missiles at America, and then waits for us to shoot those few missiles down. It doesn't protect against countermeasures that many of the modern missile systems have. It doesn't protect against mass waves of missiles. When Iran blew up the Saudi facility with U.S. air defense and missile defense system, we didn't shoot down a single one of the Iranian dozens of aircraft, and they knocked out a Saudi, one of the largest refinery in the world. Knocked it out for weeks. And so we didn't hit one of their missiles. And that's Iran. This is not Russia and China or France or Germany, a technically advanced state. So missile defense that we've spent trillions on will work if your enemy decides to attack you in the most illogical and stupidest manner possible. Meanwhile, we have millions dying of pandemic. If we had spent a fraction of the money we would pissed away in wars and defense on prevention of disease right now, life expectancy would maybe be 100 for everybody. That is how much money America's crapped away in worthless wars and defense. We're talking tens of trillions since Reagan came in and just went bonkers, really since the end of World War II, to be fair. But Reagan made this, made militarist dick waving the Republican calling card. Again, another area where the Republic Klan and their terrorist redneck base are not only destroying America and the world. Remember, 46,000 people a year die because we don't have access to health care. They spent $5 trillion in Iraq, and that would have given 25 years of universal health care to every American and prevented 1 million American deaths. The trillions the Republicans spent in Iraq had the opportunity cost of at least 1 million dead Americans. And yet, the stupid in this country jerk themselves off over, oh, let's go watch all the big weapons at the air show and militarist parade, and let's watch our different wars as we bomb people. What is Putin spending money on? Cyber, missiles, drones, human intelligence. He's not building tanks and aircraft carriers for no fucking reason, but to give Republican donors more billions. Unless we fix the cancerous waste of money, just pissing away of money on things that do nothing for us, nothing for the world, and in fact make us hated and more unsafe. The defense budget and the war budget, and closed tons of bases in different countries. Canned missile defense, tanks, aircraft carriers, Space Force, a bunch of other, we don't need the F-21 and the Joint Strike Fighter. We don't need everything and all together. Nobody else spends like this because they realize the modern world is not about massed conventional armies fighting each other. People have known this for decades, except the stupid rednecks that drive American foreign and military defense policy. Thank you.